So now what I'll do, especially because this spine is a lot thinner, is I'm going to cover up the spine here. What I might do first is I will, I'm going to decorate, because this is nice and white, I'm going to decorate it. So I'm going to make this a real mixed media journal. So I've got all my mixed media papers inside, and I'm going to decorate the cover. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover the spine, and it will cover my stitching. Some people do, some people don't. In mine, in the past I have, by putting just a piece of pattern paper over here, it just covers up my stitching, and it just gives it that finished off look. I always like to make sure I put my grooves in, but because I love that look on a book, so that's just a me thing. But yeah, so some people just leave them like this. Some people, you know, like the whole organic feel of that. Me, I just like to cover it. Just completely new journal, makes it all, you know, my colours. But because this is nice and white, I'm going to play on here first and make it a real mixed media journal. So I think that's what we're going to do now. So I might go get some papers and things, some paint, and we'll have some fun. So what I might do is I might open it up so I can work on both sides at the same time and not have to do one and the other. So I might get some of my Dina Wakley paints. I love the new colours. So get Marine, Sedona, Peacock, no, Ocean. This one Peacock, there's Peacock. Alright, I might try them. Maybe throw some lime green in there as well. Alright, so what I might do first is I'll throw some gesso down just to help this take, and I'm going to use a spatula just because it's faster and gives me a thinner, much thinner coat as well, so it will dry much faster. Now because I'm going to cover this spine, I'm just going to go over it, it's no big deal. But I do want to get to the edges. Now the reason I'm applying gesso, a lot of the time you will see that I don't use gesso because, well, yeah, I use a lot of mist and I don't like the way the gesso reacts with my dilutions. But not only that, like a lot of the time I just don't bother. I have really great art journals that don't require gesso. But sometimes I like using with the Dina Wakley paints because of a really cool technique you can do called reducing or reduction. And I'm going to show you what that's why I'm putting gesso down now, because I really want to do that. So I'm just going to quickly coat this and then I'll show you why I have chosen to gesso my page. And plus it's always good when you're working on a different kind of media. I don't know how paint would take on this. I assume it would be just fine, but you know, it's always good to put gesso down to help your paint just take a bit better. And plus this is an old book, so some areas of the book may have, you know, got marks or something, or have a bit of water damage or a bit of yellowing, and this is just going to help it be an even base coat. So the paint I put down is going to be even in every way. And the joy of using a palette knife puts it on nice and thin, so it won't dries a lot faster. Alright, so I'm just gonna put, every time that gets clogged, there's my pokey tool. My peacock hates me. Oh, there we go. So sometimes I use brushes, most of the time I don't. Should we use a brush? Nah. So it's going to spread really nicely. One, because we have that gesso down. And two, because it's just really good paint. So bear in mind I have no clue, no plan. I'm just laying paint down. Ugh. It's clogging up lately. I don't know why. There you go. The new Marine and Peacock from the new Dina Wakley batch are my absolute favourite colours at the moment. And when you mix them together, you get a really nice hunter green as well, which I found out while I was using my gel plates. My nozzle's a bit blocked, so if you've seen any of my work, you know how much I love grungy stuff. The grungier the better. I'm just going to have to take this off for a second and There we go. I just mix that in a bit there. Just want to leave a few little edges here because I really do love the grungy look. Alright, now the beauty with Dina Wakley paints, when you have a stencil, you can then go over your stencil, and because I have that, now this works without gesso as well. I've done it a lot in my 100 Days of Art, but the beauty of using the gesso is you get more of that colour coming off. Now if you see how you're seeing that there's a lot of white underneath there, if you don't use the gesso you don't get as much of that coming off, but still enough that it's a great technique. So I'm just going to do that on the back too. But yes, with that gesso it gives you more time to play with that, with the paint on top, which is really cool if you want to do something like this. So, got our first layer down. Now I really love this Sedona and I really want to bring it in, but yeah, we'll put it through a stencil, I think. I might get one of my little cross stencils because I really enjoy that stencil. And I think it's just small enough to give a few little details because that is a really nice colour. Although, should we go with the lapis and stay with the blues? Tough choices. Decided to do a bit of both. So I'm going to use the blue through my stencil. I'm just going to use my matte as a palette and makeup sponge. Now I'm just going to do it in little random areas here and there. Ooh, pretty, I like it. So I've decided to bring the Sedona in, but I'm going to use some of my fine detail stamps. So it's going to be just like a little pop. So I'm going to, for this one, I'm going to use my acrylic block. This is my absolute favorite stamp set. This is Mark Making from Viva Las Vegas Stamps. And I love the little detail stamps that you can get in this set. And also, you know, the bigger, chunkier ones too. So this is my favorite stamp set. It's great for mark making. Go figure, because that's its name. So I'm just going to use my paint to ink up my stamp. Now this will give you varied results when you use it. Depends on how heavy-handed you are, how you apply it, things like that. But I love the inconsistency of it. And I also love that I can use the colours that I like. So it is very inconsistent. It is very organic, very grungy. Because as you can see, you can't really tell how good of an image you're going to get until you use it. But honestly, that's why I like it. So this one here's my favourite. I love this stamp set. So I'm going to put, I love this stamp, I mean. So I'm going to put a few little crosses on here. I only just bought this a few weeks ago and already I need more. I have been using the Sedona more than probably any other colour in my arsenal. I really do love this colour. So as you can see, like, it's not as precise as using ink. Like, you can get big clumps of paint. But for what I'm using it for, that works really well. It is working perfectly. Where are my big crosses? We'll use some dots. I have big chunky crosses, but I can't seem to find them. Because I want something a little more chunky now. There we go. For this, just to add a few more. Big little Big little, there we go. Maybe I need some more of that blue now. So I might bring in some more blue with these stamps, I think. And because why not, let's add a few little splatters as well. I wonder how the splatters will work. I don't know if I have enough paint left. I think it might be a little too. Ooh, there we go. All right. Okay. All right, so we're going to let this dry, and then we're going to come back and finish it off. We're going to add a reinforcement for the spine on the outside, and then I'm going to add my title, which is just going to be all about me. So nice and simple, and then I'll give you a quick flick of the book. So I'll be right back. Hey guys, so I thought I'd stick to a voiceover for this little section. By the time I came back to this journal, it was well and truly into the night, and I forgot that I was doing a real-time video. So yeah, I'm just going to voice over the rest of the video, and yeah, so I hope you've liked the video. It's been a bit of a mishmash of real-time and voiceovers, and it's been a long, complicated process, but I find junk journals are, and I hope that by doing this video I might have enlightened you a little bit into how I do junk journals. So I hope it hasn't been too confusing. I've had a lot of fun making the video, that's for sure. So I'm working on my cover, and all I wanted was, I wanted it to say all about me, but I wanted the me to be in big bold letters, and I was going to use my Kaiser Craft little tile stickers for the all about part. And I don't have a big stencil of letters, so I've been freehanding them, which is terrible, but I'm getting the hang of it. I did an art journal page not too long ago for an art collaboration journal I've got going around, well, a couple of them, and I actually drew out my name, and I didn't turn out too bad, so I thought I'd give me a go. So all I do is I use some scrap paper to write, to draw my letters, and then I'm going to cut them out. I could paint them and then paste them on, but I didn't want to do that, so I just trace around them, use it as a stencil basically, and then I'm going to use some heavy black gesso to paint that in. So I've gone for the black because I did want something big and bold to stand off this front page. As you can see, I haven't used any black in the background. I've used my blue, the Sedona, the peacock and the marine, but I didn't use any black. So I really wanted that me to really pop off that page, and I think it really does. The letters are really big, and then that black gesso just really pops off. And then I decided to add some splatters as well, because why not? So I've just used a few splatters just around the me. I really like that ink splodge grungy kind of look we have going. So when I freehand paint letters, I'm not the straightest or neatest person in the world. I'm one of those people that keeps trying to make the edges neater and neater and neater till you end up with really fat lines. Anyone else do that? But, you know, it is what it is. It's my journal. It's not a big deal. So I wasn't too fussed with it, even though I know it's pretty messy, pretty crooked. It does the job. It's my title. It works for me. So I'm happy with that. And I'm using Color Blast Black Gesso. I wanted to use the gesso instead of some black acrylic paint. I find that it just goes on all these layers much better. I'm using one of my very thin Dina Wakley paintbrushes. I love these paintbrushes, but I think this is probably the first time I've used the thin one. My favorite is the big long-handled 1-inch fat brush. I love that brush. I have 3 of them. I buy them separately because I just love them so much. But in saying that, very rarely do I use paintbrushes, as you would have seen already in this video. But, you know, when I do, I like to get those out. They're great quality and really good brushes. The joys of trying to do a voiceover in the middle of the day. You gotta love those planes, don't you? So, yes, I'm just finishing up my title, and then I'm adding some water to the leftover gesso that I have on my mat, and that's how I'm going to make my splatters. Just a bit of water, some gesso, and a very fine brush. And it's the simplest way to make some splatters, but it's one of my favorites. So, after I've done that, I'm going to add the rest of my title. Now, I did decide to do my title before I reinforced my spine and covered up all my stitching. I decided to do that just in case in my title decorating I happened to go over the spine. I really wanted that spine to be really clean and crisp, and sort of like an edging to all my mixed media madness. So I really did want to finish my title, my cover first. So something I've learnt when using these little tiny alphabet stickers, these are the Kaiser Craft ones, so they're individual letters, and there's a whole sheet of them. I have many sheets of these. They're awesome to have. And I have learnt to get a scrap piece of paper first and stick the letters all together along a bottom edge. It's a great way to make sure that all your letters are straight and don't go on crooked, and if they do, you don't have to pull them up again off your project. So I just stick them on a piece of paper, and then I cut out that piece of paper and glue the piece of paper to my project. It makes it much easier to get nice straight letters, because I am terrible when it comes to getting letters straight like that. So I've just used those stickers to do all about, and that's going to go above my me, and then I'm going to add 2018 below it, and that's going to be the end of my cover. So it is my All About Me 2018 100-day project book. That's a mouthful. So yeah, I really like the way this cover turned out. So once I'm done with this, that's when we're going to start reinforcing the spine. So basically all I'm using is just a strip of cardstock, and I'm just going to use my gel matte medium to glue it over my spine. Nice and simple, just like I did on the inside, except when I do the outside, I like to make sure I use a bone folder to get right in all those creases, to make sure that, you know, you get that look of a solid spine, and also make sure that that glue is adhering really well. So again, I eyeball it. I don't measure anything really. I just hold my cardstock up to the side of my book and draw 2 lines the length of my book. So pretty much I keep my strip of cardstock the same size as the spine that's already on the book. Width and length as well, although with this one I did decide to make it a little thinner, even though it does show the spine on my book a little bit, mostly because when I covered the spine that's already on the book, the purple part, it just looked weird. I had put my me in the middle without the spine, if that makes sense. So when I put the spine on there, there wasn't enough of a gap on the left hand side. It just looked weird. So I wanted to just thin off my piece of cardstock just to give me a bit more room on my front cover, so it didn't look as strange. So all I do is I measure my cardstock, the length of my book, the thickness that I want it, which is generally the thickness of the spine already on the book, cut it down, and then use a lot of gel medium on the cover and then on my piece of cardstock itself, and then I'm just going to put it down. Then I'm going to use a bone folder and make sure I start pressing that in really tightly to make sure that it sticks really well. Then I'm going to work the bone folder in all those creases as well, so I know that it's going to stick there and not lift up on those parts as well. So lots of scoring with my bone folder, lots of pressing until it's dry, and then that's pretty much it. That's how I make a junk journal. So I hope over these 2 videos I have made some sense, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. So thanks for watching, and I'll be back with a new video soon. Bye for now.